championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen. Field lining up, a little bit tight. A couple drivers coming in a little harder, getting ready to punch off. Do we indeed go green? No, yellow. We'll get a chance to reset and give you the top 6 rows again, or 3 rows rather. Parker, you've done that before. Everybody trying to catch back up. The leaders, I think, jumped out early and then checked up. All these guys were on the throttle trying to get back to the tail of the grid, and once they slowed up, guys had to scatter further back.
Well, and an interesting note here too, Rob, you've got a longer start zone than we've ever had on the RTI, almost double the length than most of our start zones. So what that start zone is for the folks at home, we've got RTI boards coming onto the front straightaway. There's one RTI board at start-finish where the green flag can be thrown, and the leader has a choice to accelerate in that zone. It's probably this weekend about a 500-foot zone,
wow.
Normally only 250 feet. So it's a longer start zone. Maybe that threw Nolan Siegel off. I don't know. It looked like they went and then they checked up. Obviously not good.
Let's reset in the front 3 rows. We were getting a little tight there on time. Again, Josh Pearson, second-year driver, on the podium in race number 1 and the number 24 for Pabst Racing. Just 15 years of age. He'll start alongside Dylan Christie. Dylan had an issue early, had to pit and come back out on the racetrack. Starting 5th for turn 3. He's looking for his kind of coming out party. A good strong run for Dylan will be good here. Miles Rowe, that's the interesting story a little bit here, Parker. He's the one that was involved in the incident, spun in turn number 1, got collected by Matt Round-Garrido, major damage to the Force Indy car. He's going to start 4th now. The mental side of this game, has he pressed the reset button in his mind, and will it affect him at all? He'll start alongside Kiko Porto. Again, a good run for D-Force Racing, very strong in qualifying, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for race number 2. Porto, of course, the winner of the penultimate round last year at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Front row, Prescott Campbell, Nolan Siegel. Campbell, 2nd-year driver. Siegel, 3rd-year driver. Both D-Force Racing. Campbell, a podium, finished 2nd in race number 1. Siegel back in the 12th position. He's looking to rebound. A chance for him to get a victory here. And now a nice setup. One driver coming to pit lane further back for some reason. A couple drivers slower. Indeed, a driver into pit lane, but they'll come out at turn number 17 now. It's race number 2, folks. It was on a delay. It's going to be a 20-lapper, and we're underway. Green, green, green. As the drivers now work their way into turn number 1. Do we get a clean start? Everybody holding their collective breath here in the paddock at Barber Motorsports Park. The die-hard fans hanging out on the hills here still to watch a little bit more racing. They got qualifying for the NTT IndyCar Series, but we're going wheel to wheel here with USF 2000. The big run down now to turn number 5, the opening passing zone, as the drivers are side by side. Opening lap, always the best place to pass because people are still bunched up. Once they go single file, it's a lot tougher. One driver dropping a wheel on the exit of turn number 6 a bit there, through the kink of turn number 7. And Parker, just like you said, the D-Force drivers taking care of each other. It's blue and white, 1, 2, 3.
Unbelievable. And it's looking like they're going to check off into the sunset here at Barber Motorsports Park. It is getting colder. You can see that most of the track has shade right now, and a lot of these drivers haven't driven in these types of conditions.
And that's just it. The crazy difference of the conditions here now. The cooler temperatures, the IndyCar rubber. The first time around this racetrack has got to be a fact-finding mission to be real, right? You're just getting a feel for what's going on with the racetrack.
Well, and not only a fact-finding mission, you've got half of Barber Motorsports Park as blind as it is as you're coming over all these crests. And now you're telling me that there's shade everywhere? It's going to throw off their visuals 100%.
Really good battle there for P6. That, as I believe, Dylan Christie and Miles Rowe dicing it out there. Rowe's gone back a couple of positions. Field streaming out at turn number 17. Great battles further back as well. And that's one of the great things about the road to Indy. We have drivers, of course, of differing experience. Some drivers have been here 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. The rookies get and go wheel to wheel. Just an opportunity for guys to race against each other wherever they are.
100%, and especially presented this race that we have here. You've got a lot of guys starting a little towards the back, more than you would have thought with that red flag coming out in qualifying too. So we're going to get pretty racy. I see Brooks, Nepvo, they're all starting to make ground. Yeah. Oh, and we've got
couple drivers together further back on the exit of turn number 5, and there was some significant contact there, so we could have some damaged parts. And if indeed those drivers are stricken, we may see a full course yellow. That was deeper in the field. You can see one driver coming here from late on of that incident. We'll try to figure out who that was coming by here. Yeah, looking at some of the splits, I want to say that potentially guys just coming through, Kent Vaccaro and Bejoy Garg, I think maybe the two drivers that were involved. Trey Burke was the driver who headed to pit lane early. Not sure what happened to Trey there, but yeah, here comes that yellow flag, and I think it's going to be full course. I have a feeling that Kent Vaccaro could be stranded right in the middle of turn number 5. I believe that may have been him. But based on what we're seeing on our live timing here, it was Bejoy Garg from Jay Howard Driver Development in the number 7, and I think Kent Vaccaro from Miller Vinatieri Motorsports, the drivers involved in the incident. Yeah, AMR safety team has already got there. I think that could be Garg's car.
I think it is.
Yeah.
I saw the red car move on a little bit. Obviously, not much that Kent could do. It looked like their car was spun in the middle of turn 5, and that's always tough. It's pretty well blind getting in there as you break downhill, and once you're committed, there's not much you can do when a car is parked on the apex.
Yeah, and again, the spun car wasn't even completely parallel. Obviously, it spun around a little bit too, so that blocks even more of the racetrack. Here's a replay of it here, Parker, coming in. That you know
he
what?
Might have had a little help there.
I don't. It looks to me potentially like Garg might have just looped it around, and then yeah, Vaccaro from deeper back with nowhere to go climbed up over the front wing and over the right front tire. So tough one for Garg. I think just looks like maybe a little mid-corner oversteer, and then no luck at all there for Vaccaro.
Oh, you hate to see that.
You do.
I'm actually surprised. I didn't see Vaccaro on that screen when we went back. So if he kept going, no, he's parked
right there.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was going to
love
say,
that.
I can't believe that car made it that far.
Drivers working their way through the scene of the incident now, and of course the AMR safety team. One of the big, I think, benefits and positives of this road to Indy. Other open wheel programs around the country and through North America don't have the access that we have. Exactly the same staff, exactly the same technology, and the people who take care of the NTT IndyCar series. The AMR IndyCar safety team, fantastic, and just like they do for IndyCar, they do exactly the same thing for all 3 rungs of the road to Indy.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, and I think that's a huge selling point of the road to Indy. I mean, myself being a driver here for 6 years, safety is top priority, especially, kids might not think about it as much as they should. I've been there, I've done that, but parents definitely do. And you look at families and sponsors involved in the road to Indy, you definitely want to keep everybody safe, and there's no better in the business than the AMR safety crew.
Well, you know what? Let's give you a full field rundown now. Good opportunity to do that as we are now on a full course yellow. Nolan Siegel, Prescott Campbell, the 2 drivers from D-Force Racing, able to get out early. Josh Pearson attacked quickly on Kiko Porto, so Pearson very strong up into the 3rd spot, but again, Siegel with the race lead. Josh Green sliding into the 5th position. Miles Rohold held on to 6th. Lost a couple of spots there early, but Rowe now in the 6th spot. Christian Brooks gained a couple. He goes to P7. Dylan Christie in 8th. Thomas Naveau in 9th. And Chase Denmark rounding out the top 10. A number of rookies making their way into the top 10 here. Rowe, Christie, Naveau, and Denmark.
Interesting to note the number 3 Cape car wing hanging off. I don't think he came to pit, but he's got a wing hanging off.
That's the number 3 of Evan Stammer potentially. We'll have a look at that. Continuing on down the line, Michael D'Orlando running in 11th, Billy Fraser in 12th, Spike Kohlbecker 13th, Yuvan Sundaramurthy 14th, Andre Castro in the 15th spot. The remainder of the top 20 sees Simon Sykes, Peter Bogdanovich, Jackson Lee, Evan Stammer, and Grant Palmer. Eric Evans in 21st, Eli Navarro 22nd, Matt Round-Garrido, I think, potentially got caught up in that, was able to kind of get out of the way. I think he was the slower car pulling away from the incident, likely had to take evasive maneuvers. Still on the racetrack, Bejoy Garg and Kent Vaccaro able to continue, and it looks like they haven't lost a lap, but I have a feeling they will when they come back around.
I do as well. And for those at home, it's kind of interesting when they came down the front straightaway. You might have saw a couple drivers drive right up against the pit wall. What those guys were trying to do, I've been there. The crew is obviously radioed. As a driver, you actually can't see your front wing. So a lot of the times you've made contact on a start or a restart, and you don't know if your wing is hanging on. You don't know if it's dragging. You get in that heat of the moment. You don't know what's going on. So you tell your crew, hey, guys, can you take a peek at it? You drive out of the line down the front straight, and they'll hopefully tell you good news, but most cases they'll probably tell you bad news.
Yeah, you don't want to hear that, right? Indeed. We'll see what happens. The drivers come around. Parker picked up a potential wing damage for, we think, potentially Evan Stammer. We'll have a look as they continue to come through here to see whether or not there is damage to Stammer. He is currently running, I believe, in the 19th position. Didn't get a full run through there on the field. Again, this is coming through the turn 9-10 combination. straightaway down after actually 9, 10, and 11. And then here's the 12, 13, I believe, combination here. Really tough part of this racetrack. Actually, no, that's 11, 12, then the rises in 13, then 14, 15, 16, 17.
You got it.
Capping off the lap around here, and the elevation changes absolutely staggering here at this particular racetrack. Drivers lining up, and I think it looks like we're going to go back to green. Indeed, the pace car ducked on off already, so away we go. Nolan Siegel, just like Yuvan Sundaramurthy this morning, going to handle his first restart as a leader. Away we go. Back to green flag racing. This is a good opportunity for Prescott Campbell to challenge. Restart's always an opportunity to challenge, and no, not able to get through. Campbell's into the second spot. Pearson third. Look at an attack from the outside. Big move by Billy Fraser, trying to make it 3 wide down the Alabama roller coaster. The New Zealand driver pushing real hard. Fraser running 12th at the stripe at the restart. Again, the run down the inside. Look at Josh Pearson, Parker trying to hold the outside, but Prescott's going to run him to the outside of the racetrack.
And we've got a car off in 5. He looked like he kept it straight, though, and he's back on track.
Tough part of the racetrack there. If you get to the outside, none of those rumbles. One driver went 4 wheels off. As you can see, the dust up. This is going to give, this battle between Pearson and Prescott's going to give Nolan Siegel a little bit of breathing room right now. Simon Sykes and I want to say that might have been Grant Palmer going at it side by side as well. No, I think that's actually Sykes and Bogdanovich. This is some good racing further back in the field as well. But man, out front, Nolan Siegel says, you guys can battle behind me as much as you want. I'd be more than happy to start pulling away.
Well, and I'm so surprised we went green, and the reason I say that, I didn't really see any drivers trying to get heat in their tires, and it's cold right now. You see all this side-by-side action. It's cold tires. These guys are sliding around, and that's why we're just seeing absolute mayhem.
Side by side there, Miles Rowe. I think that's potentially Dylan Christie. Look at 3
3
wide.
wide.
How about 3 wide on the straightaway? Let's go to turn 1 and see how this ends up. Looks pretty good so far. One driver wide. Oh, that's a driver come to pit lane. That might have been Evan Stommer. I think he came to pit lane, likely a rear wing change as you picked up. He's slow around the outside there. He's going to stay out of the way.
And Prescott Campbell takes the lead as the cameras are watching mid-pack 3 wide action. We've got Prescott Campbell on cold tires wheeling and dealing.
What happened to Nolan Siegel here on the opening circuit? Parker said surprised they went green. No one was warming the tires up. And Campbell's gone to the lead. Another driver off the outside of the racetrack of turn number 6.
Wow, it is just, I tell you, these guys managing cold tires. We're 3 wide again, headed into 7.
These drivers realize they need to realize there's only 4 days till they're on the racetrack, or 5 days till they're on the racetrack at St. Petersburg. Let's not give too much work to your team, guys. Bring the car home in one piece.
Well, and it's funny, Rob, we haven't had time to say it, but there's only 20 laps because of our delay.
Yeah.
It's cut about 5 to 10 laps usually on what a USF 2000 race would be. So I guess the teams relayed the message that they got to get their elbows up early.
Yeah, drivers going at it big time here. Prescott Campbell with the lead. Driver out of California, going to school in Oxford in the UK, but has been doing it online throughout the COVID-19 shutdown. A lot of great stuff going on with Prescott Campbell. What a way it would be for him to score a victory. D-Force Racing would like to get the win. They scored their first ever Road to Indy victory with Manuel Suleiman. Were able to win last year in USF 2000 with Kiko Porto. Getting a win here in the opening weekend would be big.
Well, and we've talked about it, Rob. Kiko being the veteran coming back to D-Force, obviously, that's some familiarity. But you look at these 2 guys coming in, Nolan Siegel and Prescott Campbell. They've been the stars of the show there at D-Force so far.
Nolan Siegel's got the most experience of the drivers running here in the top 5. His 3rd year in the series. Spent the first year with Newman Walks Racing, last year with Drake J. Howard, moving over to D-Force Racing. And that team really has picked up a ton of momentum over the second half of the season last year, and they've transitioned that here into the start of 2021. Campbell second in the opening race, leading right now. Ooh, a little bit of a miscue there in turn number 9. Didn't quite get the car to rotate.
Didn't get the car to rotate. And watch as we see these cars go through turn 8 and 9. Everybody's locking up. There's dirt on the track. They're sliding around. I tell you, this is a lot of action here.
Well, you talk, Parker, about how much different this racetrack is. First time they come out here. Cooler temperatures, IndyCar rubber. It's going to change the way that the car balances on the entry to every corner.
Well, and look at the lap times too, Rob. We're at a 123 flat when normally we'll see, low 121s in qualifying. So it's definitely a lot of adapting going on right now.
And you got to think a lot of these guys are kind of at the end of these tires. We only had those 3 sets of tires as well. Guys use them for qualifying. They use them for race number 1. These aren't going to be pristine tires on their cars right now.
They are definitely not, as we watch everybody wrestle the car around. And I don't think Campbell's going to ride off into the sunset on this one. Siegel's right there.
Well, and this is, we really haven't talked about it yet here, but I think very interesting. is the fact that this racetrack, newly repaved, really tough on the left front tire. And we're talking about tires that have been used in qualifying already, and who's taking care of their tire? Again, a little cooler temperatures, potentially sliding the front of that car around, especially if you're in the draft. You got some aero wash. Let's see what happens to the guys behind Prescott Campbell.
Definitely, and a lot of these Road to Indy teams, they're going to use their worst set more in the afternoon because that's when it's hot anyways. You don't see the huge tire gains when you put on those new tires in the morning, so you're 100% right. A lot of these tire sets, because they were supposed to race a couple hours ago, they're probably not on their best tires they have for the weekend.
We're just coming up to the halfway point here right now, 8 laps down to the 20, so almost to the halfway point. Prescott Campbell has got the guys behind him. Nolan Siegel runs second, Josh Pearson third, Kiko Porto fourth, Josh Green fifth, Christian Brooks trying to recover once again up into the sixth position, Thomas Naveau seventh, Miles Rowe eighth, Michael D. Orlando and Yuvan Sundaramurthy rounding out the top 10. Yuvan from 15th up to 10th, showing the speed, Parker, that he had to win race number one. But if he's able to get into the top 10, I think that's going to be a solid run to pair with that victory this morning.
I 100% think so as well. And, you know, talking with Yuvan, he's already thinking points. I know that might not be the best strategy, but, hey, he said he's a championship leader and he wants to keep it that way. He's got to think points being prizes. So I'm sure he's a little conservative right now. He doesn't want to take away the fact that he's won a race today.
Yeah, one of the guys, of course, is looking for big points here is Prescott Campbell. He was P2 in race one. A victory here would give him the point lead heading to St. Petersburg next weekend.
Well, and another interesting storyline, we've got Prescott and Josh Pearson together up there in the top three, former teammates, if I'm not mistaken.
They were teammates last year with Exclusive Autosport. They went their separate ways, Campbell to D-Force Racing, Pearson to Pabst. And both these young drivers have really stepped things up here at the start of the season. So incredible runs by these second-year drivers. And again, Nolan Siegel right in there as well. A little further back, let's look at some of the battles that we're seeing on the racetrack as well. I like the fight between Andre Castro and Billy Fraser. Jackson Lee's been able to get himself up into that scrap as well from deeper in the field. There are lots of good battles going on here. And again, I always reiterate this early. The young drivers, the rookies, are going to keep getting better throughout the early part of the season. And when they're battling together, really working on that racecraft, that's going to pay off once we get to Road America.
100%. If I'm Prescott, though, I'm thinking, okay, this is a good spot. I got Nolan Siegel behind me. He's a blue car. I'm a blue car.
Yep.
I can already see he's pinching off a few lines. You watch him going through turn 14 and 15. He's not opening it up. He's keeping it closed. He knows what to do. Really, he's putting in quite an impressive drive here.
And unlike any of the drivers in the top five, clean air out front, which means he's got all the aero on that front wing. He's not having to worry about any kind of aero wash. He's not having to change his line to try to get a bit of air to come over maybe the right or the left front of the wing just to get that car to plant. That'll allow him to take care of the tires more than the guys behind him.
100%. And then you look at if you're squaring the guy up behind you, you know Nolan, he's a teammate. Not only does he not want to crash into him, but they know each other, right? They got to be friendly with each other. They've spent a lot of time together in the offseason. They know their strengths and weaknesses. You know, if I'm looking in my mirrors and I see Christian Brooks or I see Josh Green, a second-year or third-year guy, I'm going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But if I see my teammate and I see a guy that I know his data, I know where he's strong, I know where he's weak, you know, I'm sure Prescott's calculating everything. He's a pretty smart kid over there going for his engineering degree.
Exactly. And let's be real. You got to think about the different dynamics. You got to think about the different situations. Nolan Siegel's sitting there saying, hey, man, I finished 12th. I think 11th or 12th in the opening round. Do I try for a win, a low percentage pass, or do I do whatever I can to stay with my wingman and hold on to second? Because big points, as you said. And you look over the kind of 10 or 11-year history of USF 2000, the guy that wins the opening round of the season isn't always the guy that wins the championship. You've got to get a couple of good results. You don't want the DNF for sure. That will set things up to make it tough to come back.
Exactly.
Drivers working now into the second half of the race. They've just put lap 11 in the books, 9 remaining. And again, the D-Force drivers run 1, 2, 4. Campbell, Siegel, and then Porto. Josh Pearson, the interloper in there, running P3 in the Pabst Racing Machine. The driver out of Wilsonville, Oregon. Very strong.
Two guys we see chipping away here. We haven't talked much because there's been a lot of action in mid-pack and up front, but you've got Christian Brooks and Josh Green started on that verge of top 10, and now all of a sudden they're almost, Christian is in the top 5, and they're probably knocking on the door of a podium here by the time we get to the 10 laps.
And here's the difference in the thoughts, right? Nolan Siegel starting on pole. He's thinking about trying to go for the race win. Prescott Campbell coming off that second place in the opening round. Yeah, you know what? All I need is a good finish here, and I'm going to have the point lead. Christian Brooks got caught out by that red flag in the first qualifying session. He started back, ended up working his way forward, though. It was a good point stay. Wasn't the race win that he wanted, being the fastest driver in spring training, the fastest driver in practice, but he's been able to get that good points day. He's worked his way now back up, as we know, into the 5th position. He's going to work here in Kiko Porto. For him, if he's able to get the 4th or the 3rd, that would be another good points day. He's going to call this a win. 100%.
And again, you already brought it up, Rob. Only a week turnaround. Not even 5 business days to get these cars ready to go for St. Pete. Obviously, I'm sure there's been a couple team owners that have had conversations with their drivers on making sure that we keep it clean. Because you take out a travel day there and a setup day there, all of a sudden we got a day to finish the car off if it gets wrecked here in race 2.
Right behind Christian Brooks are Josh Green in the Turn 3 Motorsports number 33, Thomas Naveau in the number 2 for Cape Motorsports, but Prescott Campbell pulling just a little bit of a gap. You wonder what the tires are like here. 12 laps in, 8 more laps remaining, and it's that clean air that's allowing Prescott to maximize all the aero over top of the wings here on this USF 17. Those behind him, when they get close enough, especially coming through this corner here, turn number 9 or some of the quicker corners, the 12-13 combination, Parker, you're always battling a little bit of that aero, that mid-corner understeer that really works the tires.
Well, and we can see for the fans at home that are watching on the live stream, you can visually see it now. Normally you can't, but watch how these cars are getting sideways. You can literally see the catches they're having in 9. You can see the catches they're having in 13. And I know it doesn't look like much when you're watching it at home, but I can tell you it is a big pucker moment when you're a driver actually having to catch that race car.
Waiting for the temp to start coming down, really right around the 66-degree mark right now. So it's dropped about 6 or 7 degrees since the top of the day. Again, one of the other things the drivers are having to deal with for the first time is you see the differences of the shade on the racetrack as well. Sun starting to work its way to the horizon here in Birmingham, Alabama, and as they work their way around here, it's such a wooded area that there's big trees in certain areas, and as the sun goes down, we're getting shade cast on a lot of the racetrack. How different is a part of the racetrack where you're rolling into shade than coming back into the sunlight?
Hugely different. I mean, just the track temperatures are going to be, multiple degrees different, so the tires are going to handle different, but then not only that, to add another variable to it, the sun is as low as it'll ever be, which for a race car driver, when you're sitting in a low car, means it's right in your eyes everywhere you go. So if it's not shaded, you've got sun in your eyes.
We're still watching the moves here by Christian Brooks as he is just 0.2 of a second now behind Kiko Porto, started further back in the pack, and Brooks trying to, again, salvage this weekend with a couple of strong runs. He'll work his way out of turn number 10 and 11, or 9 and 10, like all the other drivers have rolled through here. Another 10 and 11 is the left-right, then 12-13 is the other left-right at the end of the back straightaway. Coming down through 16 now, and look at this, Nolan Siegel trying to close back up a little. Might have missed the apex a little bit there in 16, you think, and had to bring the car back.
He definitely did, Rob, but I was just about to say a lap ago that I thought Prescott bought himself some breathing room, and Nolan reeled him back in. So don't take anything for granted here in this race.
I think Parker's talked about how tough this racetrack is right now. And how about this? Billy Fraser going purple as the fastest driver on the racetrack, just laid down a 122.297, 0.2 quicker than Prescott Campbell. Fraser got a top 10 in the opening run, currently sitting in the 12th position. He's purple, couple seconds behind Kohlbecker, but was 0.4 of a second quicker that last lap. We'll see if Fraser's able to keep up that momentum.
Billy, one of probably the most exciting drivers I think we got on the road to Indy this year, and what a fine young man, too. Really personable, really fun to get along with, and I know Michael Duncalf and Exclusive Autosport, very grateful to have him on the team this year. I think he's a hard worker. I went to go interview him yesterday, and he rejected it. He's too busy looking at data, and I'm 100% of that. You know what? Get it.
Yeah, 2020 New Zealand Formula 4 champion.
Yeah, I know.
So he's got the resume, ran in the Toyota Racing Series, which is one of our partners here, the road to Indy, and we're hoping to send some of our drivers here as well there next year to be part of the TRS, a fantastic program in January and February. But I'll tell you, you're right. Prescott Campbell's not pulling away, and I'll tell you, Nolan Siegel still up on the wheel.
One thing about Christian Brooks, I look, he's right. Look at those top 10 in times. They're all right there in the mid-22s, but it's so hard. It's one thing when you're in second place and you've got one car dirty air, but when you're in 5th or 6th and you've got 5 cars in front of you with dirty air, there's literally nowhere you can get your front or rear wing any clean air. It's so tough and frustrating. I know what Christian's probably going through. He's fast enough to stay with that lead train. He's just not got any open gap to get his front wing any air.
There's your top 5 there coming out of turn number 5 and 6. They got a little bit of a gap now back to Josh Green, about a full second from Christian Brooks back to Josh Green. But again, after what happened with Christian Brooks, we talked about the fact that he started further in the field back in the 9th position. To be able to work from 9th up to 5th when you're in the top 10. 20 to 15 or 20 to 14, a little different with the drivers behind you there, the level of speed. 9th up into 5th is really showing you got something on the car.
Definitely, and we'll talk about another big mover. I believe Jackson Lee started pretty close to the last row of the field.
Yeah, let's go 23rd
23rd to 13th.
That's nice.
10 spots.
And Jackson Lee's the kind of a guy here right now. He's digging. He doesn't have the full budget for this year. He's digging hard. He got a lot of great partners put together for Jackson. And here's a guy that really wants to make an impression here early. Remember, had that issue in qualifying where the car just shut off in turn number 16. When that happened, he brought the red flag out, lost his fast lap. That's why he started to tail the field. This is more where he needs to be, and he's trying to close up here on Billy Fraser.
Well, on 13th, great points day. If he keeps it clean and brings the car home with 4 wheels and no scratches, I think that's a pretty solid rookie effort for his first race on the road to Indy.
I would totally agree with that. 4 laps remaining, and it'll be 3 laps when they come back around, but 4 to go here for Prescott Campbell. 16 laps in the books. You can see that Christian Brooks still right up there on Kiko Porto. Those are the 2 drivers that scored the victories at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg last year. Campbell, Siegel, Pearson, Porto, and Brooks, the top 5. Green in 6th, Rowe 7th, Thomas Naveau 8th, Michael D'Orlando 9th, and Yuvan Sundaramurthy has worked his way up into the 10th position, only 0.8 of a second behind D'Orlando, but not quite as quick on that last lap. Still a top 10, I think it'd be good for Yuvan. It's not going to keep him in the point lead after that race win, but it will keep him right there in the top 5.
No, and look at that mid-pack right there. You've got, Michael D'Orlando in 9th. You've got Yuvan in 10th. You've got Spike in 11th. All these guys have got a lot of time on their hands. So if I'm Yuvan, I'm going, okay, this ain't too bad. I'm 1 spot behind the Cape veteran. We're in it.
Watching Christian Brooks, thinking about the inside, down to the bottom.
Whoa.
Christian Brooks, you saw that there. Kind of diamonded it off the corner coming out of turn number 15 to 16 to get a better run back down the hill. Thought about going to the inside of Kiko Porto there. Couldn't quite pull the trigger. But I'll tell you, Christian Brooks has reached into the old go-karting bag of tricks to see whatever he can do to potentially dive. And you know what? Even if you show the nose there, maybe a little mid-corner adjustment for Kiko would allow him to get by.
You know what? I think that's a veteran move on Christian Brooks' part. The Christian Brooks a year ago would have shoved it down the inside, and we probably would have had contact. And the Christian Brooks I saw right there, it was a high-risk move, low percentage. He's racing for 5th. What's 1 spot? It's only going to be 2 points. I think he did the right decision there.
I don't think you're wrong on that one at all. We got a great battle here for 4th position. There's no doubt about that. Behind them, I think Miles Rowe's been able to get by Josh Green. So Miles Rowe in the Force Indy number 99, I think back into the 6th position. Pretty solid for a guy that was 4th, fell back to 9th, and has clawed his way back forward. Miles Rowe, the rookie driver for Force Indy, a pretty significant incident in the opening round with contact in turn 1 after a spin. He's getting himself back up here to, I think, the 6th position. Look out, though, folks. We're not done here yet. We're going to go 2 laps to go this time by. They're out of 17. And Nolan Siegel starting to get hungry. He is going to work, see if he can't find a way by his teammate. There's 2 Cape Motorsports drivers battling there as well, Thomas Naveau and Michael D'Orlando. So the Cape guys going at it. That would be for 8th and 9th. But I don't think we're done yet for the race win. Siegel may not be content with P2.
I don't think he is content. If I'm Siegel, I'm going, hey, what could have been 2 years ago or a year ago when I started on pole, I start on pole now, I want the win. I didn't have a good start to the season. I know we talked about it. He's probably going second's good, but I think he's hungry for that win. He sees a blue car in front of him. He's a blue car. He's going, I can be there if that guy's there.
And to be real, it's saying, hey, you know what, if I have a car I think's better, it's hard to sit back. Even though it may not be a low-risk move, you're going to potentially get some trouble. If you think you got a race car to win, Parker, you as a driver, you're going for it.
Well, and Rob, it is extremely hard to get a win on the road to Indy. You never know when your last one is going to come.
That's true.
And you never know when you're going to have that opportunity, to be second going into this race with 2 laps to go, knowing that you have the pace to challenge for the lead. You got to force that guy into a mistake.
Prescott Campbell improved greatly throughout the 2020 season and really started coming on with exclusive Autosport at the end of the season, moving over for D-Force Racing. He's looking to try to get his first race win, second in the opening circuit, or the opening race rather. Can he get it done? White flag will fly this time by. There'll be one more race to go here, one more lap rather, for Prescott Campbell. This is when you start thinking about it, hitting your marks. You get too defensive, he's going to bring Nolan Siegel back into it.
I know, you can't be complacent, Rob. And it's funny, I think Nolan got a really good entry to turn 2 and 3 as they come over the hill. Still 5-6 cars back, but Nolan seems really strong through the 12-13 complex into 14. If I had to guess, I'd say Nolan's thinking about going into 14 on the inside.
And I'll tell you this, Prescott Campbell did not run the defensive line down into turn number 5, and he ran the full race line. That's just a smart idea. You could do it if the driver's right there. He could potentially go around you, but right now Prescott Campbell still holding the spot. The Californian looking to get the job done. Nolan Siegel second. Pearson still third. He would love to be able to clean up the mess and drive through if the two D-Force drivers get together. Here they come again. Down that back straightaway through 10 and 11. Unbelievably quick part of the racetrack. The big run down to 12 and 13. Like Parker said, is he going to be close enough in 14? Prescott Campbell's got some breathing room, folks, over the rise. Through 15 over to 16. He gets a nice wide berth to get himself down to the bottom of the racetrack. Prescott Campbell, what a performance. At a turn number 17, counted up 2 brand new winners. He rolls into the wall, the victor in Barber. Prescott Campbell, race 2 winner in USF 2000. What a run.
Bravo.
Yeah.
That was a veteran's drive right there. He does look like a second-year driver.
Is it? You know what? I asked him about that. How different are you from last year? You know, I asked that question to every driver. He is so much more prepared, and this could be a floodgate for him as well. Second in the first race. He wins here. Prescott Campbell with the victory. Nolan Siegel second. Josh Pearson third. Kiko Portal fourth. Another solid run for Christian Brooks, 9th to 5th. He's not going to be happy overall with the weekend, but a couple of top 5s is going to keep him right in the middle of the fight. Miles Rowe coming back to 6th. Josh Green 7th. Thomas Naveau and Michael D'Orlando 8th and 9th. And Yuban Sundaramurthy a win in round 1, 10th in round 2 from 15th. Let's just shine the spotlight right now on Prescott Campbell. What a run.
Well, and let's go through the storyline of USF 2000. All the guys that I thought were going to challenge for podiums and be at the front. I'm going to be honest, if I was a betting man, I would have lost some money this weekend.
Well, listen, we talked about coming in, right? Who are the second-year drivers who looked so good last year? Michael D'Orlando, Christian Brooks, Kiko Porto, Josh Green. Those were the top guys. Some guys that won races. Those were the guys that we expected to be championship challengers out of the gate. I think you got to play a little bit to the power of D-Force Racing. I think they've helped elevate Prescott Campbell and Nolan Siegel up maybe another level, right? But to be able to beat Kiko Porto on that same team, that says a lot for both Prescott and Nolan.
Well, and not only that, Rob, but when we've got race winners in 9th and 10th position in any race, that is pretty impressive.
Indeed.
The USF 2000 field this year, take no prisoners for anybody. Make no assumptions, because we've got Prescott Campbell, who, if wasn't on your radar for the championship before this weekend, he's certainly on mine now.
And how about this for the top rookie of the race, Miles Rowe in Force Indy in the number 99. He's the quickest and the fastest rookie. Thomas Naveau was 8th, and then Spike Kolbecker 11th. Chase Denmark fell back a bit, but was able to fight his way back up to 12th. Billy Fraser ends up 13th. Jackson Lee from 23rd to 14th. It'll be a good day for Jackson Lee, and like you said, roll it back to the trailer. The team loves it when you roll it in and get out at the trailer and not doing it on a wrecker.
100%. And not only Miles Rowe, the top rookie, it looks like he took the fastest lap of the race as well. So that if that isn't going to boost his confidence going into Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, I don't know what will.
Well, there you have it right there. Prescott Campbell rolling into victory lane, and tell us how good that is when you're coming into victory lane. The team comes over, you're getting out of the car, the jubilation when you've got that first victory.
Especially your first wins. You know, that's something I've really enjoyed my role this weekend as the Road to Indy TV host, because look at that first win, that first win yell, that first win smile. You know, nothing tops that on the Road to Indy. We work so hard as drivers to not only work outside the car to drive the car, but then we work hard to go fast in the car. That's that brings almost a tear to my eye again.
You get a little emotional, don't you?
You do.
It's amazing. You can see the elation here with the team, D-Force Racing. Again, the drivers in the top 5, 3 different teams. D-Force putting 3 drivers in the top 5.
Well, I think a lot of it was we knew we had a strong car, and that gives you a lot of confidence as a driver. That's what gave me confidence going into this event, and I knew I just had to capitalize on that.
How does it feel to be P1?
It feels amazing. It hasn't quite sunk in yet. But being P1, you know, for the first time in the Road to Indy, I can't really explain it, can't put it into words.